for sure. Oh, Casanova in the house. Hello, hello. Okay, good. Hi. Hello, everybody. So you can see there's a hey, Myra. Hey. There's a poll on the screen. I did my best. I don't know. It looks weird. Hey, Dee Marie. Hey, Sue. And Jonathan. Marianne, you're here late. I mean, I'm here late too, girl. It's 11:11. Make a wish. Make a wish. Lillian, hi. Hello. So the poll, I mean, the poll works, I think. But I don't know why it's so weirdly long. When you hear what I've done, I mean, I cannot wait to tell you all of the things that I've done for this show. I mean, I have a long list of updates. First of all, the Abe Books affiliate link, it's working. Oh yes, it's working. So I'm going to tell you all about that. Hey, Beasley Richard. Well, Beasley Richard, it's interesting you say that. Okay, so here's the deal. So first things first. So what lecture should Mary give at QuiltCon 2023? So this, if you were here on Thursday, you may have been a part of this discussion. So I need to pitch a lecture to QuiltCon for 2023. I have a little bit of time to do it, and people were giving amazing suggestions the other day. And so I've kind of narrowed it down to a few things. So you can vote. The 4 topics I think that sort of had the most support or interesting stuff. Dazed House. How is Dazed House? Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. And I've got a couple other people to thank. And by the way, thank you to all my mods. I really, really appreciate you. Yeah, I don't know how I did it without you. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Dazed, welcome to the Quilt Nerd crew. It's like, this is the best place. It's the best place. So anyway, so men in quilting. And Richard, I know, like this one's probably the most controversial idea. And you should know that like my approach to all of this would be to just talk to a lot of fellas in quilt making world, Kevin, the president of the Philly Modern Quilt Guild, he's a quilt nerd, talking to him, talking to you, if you're interested, anybody who would talk to me, I would talk to them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, every year for QuiltCon, I always pitch an idea that scares me a little bit or makes me nervous somehow. Dazed. I'm so glad you're here. This is great. And you've probably gotten some welcome baskets in the chat, but you are so welcome here. So, men in quilting, I mean, and the question is, how do you feel about it? I mean, I would develop some kind of, approach to it, but it's interesting, right? It's sort of like the whole quilts and fine art thing. It's like, well, are quilts art? Let's lean into this thing. That's another question I have for you all, by the way, later. So if you want to vote for that one, this is the command that you do. You go, I know it's weird. I have so much to tell you. You go ! And then the word vote, and then men. Yes, you see what just happened? There's one vote for men. Men, you have one vote. So that's the command you put in the chat. ! Vote, all one word, ! Vote, and then you type space men, okay, if you like that one. The other idea is that we've talked on this show that perhaps there is a third quilt revival going on right now. And I don't know if my friend in Casanova if we've talked about this at all, but with the pandemic and with the quilt fashion thing, I tend to think, and with the Modern Quilt Guild setting the stage for all of this, I think we are in a third revival. I do. There was the colonial revival in the 1910-ish time, and then the 70s, but now I think there's a third revival, or maybe it's the first revival of the 21st century. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I could look at that. So if you want to vote for that one, you put ! Vote revival. And then, okay, wait, so Bridgewater is into the ethical quilting, but hang on. So the third one is a lecture on, how are we to be ethically sound, as quilt makers in the 21st century. And so I'll explain more of that, but if you like that, it's ! Vote ethics. Okay, ethics. So you've got vote men, vote revival. Is that right? Oh dear, hang on now. Hang on. I want to make sure that's right because nobody's nobody's voting for that yet. But yes, exactly. Or vote. Let me just see. Hang on. Ethics. Yes. Okay. So it is. If you want to vote for the revival one, it's vote revival. And mods, if anyone's saying I don't know what's happening, if you could just say, give them the model for how to enter the command. And then this other idea, the fourth idea, someone suggested, and I think it's really interesting, and it's a little lighter. It's a little lighter, and we'd be able to see just such wonderful quilts. Story quilts, pictorial quilts, and just give some beautiful, hour-long presentation on all kinds of story quilts. And those could be, anything from the wonderful pictorial quilts that we look at here to ones we haven't talked about Hmong story cloths much yet, arpilleras, Chilean arpilleras. Like that could be really extraordinary too. So you could vote vote, is it store? Hang on. Okay, it's vote stories. So once you have that command in there, it's men, revival, ethics, or stories. And I'll just put it in there. I'll do, your choices are men, revival, ethics, or stories, plural, okay? Those are your choices. Men, revival, okay. So, and I'll keep kind of tossing that out, over the course of the wow, story quilts is like, it's creeping up. Men, revival, ethics, or stories. And by the way, the ethics thing is like, how do we deal with sustainability at this point? I mean, how do we create ethical, sort of inclusive spaces? How do, there's a lot of stuff out there about this, how do we, you could even say, I've seen it a lot at QuiltCon, in particular, but elsewhere, politically, it seems that there's a divide in the quilt world, or in the quilt community, I should say, in the United States. There's very politically minded quilt makers who are very vocal and visual about their political positions. And those are progressive, left-leaning people. But, I've seen one Trump quilt in my life, and you all maybe have I talked about it. I showed it on this show. I found it on Etsy, and I purchased it, and I donated it to the Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska, because it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was a Trump quilt, So there are people who feel excluded in that way, and you can say, like, that, well, fine, but that's not the way this is going to work. It's not the way we're going to survive, if people don't feel, included, and it's, anyway. So ethics is interesting. It's a hornet's nest for sure. Why can't I just do, I don't know. Why can't I just talk about quilts of the 1920s, or something easy? Can't do it. But people like the story quilt idea, which would save me. So that would be fine. I want to say hi to everybody. And if you, thank you, Raffle. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Yeah, mods are going to help people vote. So one of the things that I did is I've contacted been in touch with her a little bit, but I've contacted a Twitch expert, and she's really neat, and she has her own Twitch channel, which I'll talk about once we start working together. I'll tell you all about her anyway. But I have all these questions, is there a way to do a poll where people can just click on their screen? Maybe. I don't know. Is there a way to do a poll that's maybe different from having to enter a command, and why isn't my whole poll showing on the screen? Things like this. I don't know, everybody. I'm really trying my best, but I'm talking to her about setting up some sessions because I'd like to know more about bits and cheers. Myra would also like me to know more about bits and cheers and all these things that you can do on Twitch that are really fun, but I don't know much about it. I keep trying. But anyway, so talk to her today. We're going to set up a thing. We were going to do it before QuiltCon, but she couldn't and I couldn't. So that's happening. I made the Abe Books affiliate. I figured it out. So we're going to talk about Clementine Hunter tonight. If you know about Clementine Hunter, you know that you're in for a treat. She's an amazing person. Amazing. Thanks, Myra. You are, you're OG. We all know it. So Clementine Hunter is a famous American artist, folk artist, and she made wonderful paintings and quilts. And we're going to talk about her. And there's a book about her. And guess what? I have an Abe Books affiliate link. So if anybody wants to buy the Clementine Hunter book, I have a link. And not only do I have a link, I have a specific Quilt Nerd URL. Anyway, you'll see. So, and I'm excited about this. Very excited. So Abe Books link. Okay. Okay, in the poll. Okay, so there's a poll happening. There's also, I uploaded a bunch of episodes to YouTube from a couple weeks ago. So if you're watching this show live and you're not a subscriber, which is totally fine, the show is always live. You can always watch it live here on Twitch. But subscribers get to watch the replay on Twitch right away. The video on demand, you can watch it any old time. So if you miss the show, you can watch it right away. But if you're not a subscriber, you can still watch it, but after a little while, because we're trying to make a thing. I don't know how to do any of this. I have no idea, but I'm doing my best. It's a learning process. And what's interesting about doing this learning process is it's live in front of everyone. Real time. When I fail live. It's awesome. It is awesome, but it's crazy. So, okay, did the Abe Books thing. You're going to know all about that. I have not said hi to anybody, but I just jumped in. It's also 11:30. I took a walk. I took a nap. I took a shower. I have no idea. You know, I don't know if I've ever told you. I worked coat check in Chicago. When I first moved to Chicago, I worked for a club promoter, a nightclub promoter, and I worked in the nightclubs promoting the nightclubs. And that sounds like maybe I was doing something else, but I really was, you know, doing promotions. And then I always, and I was grateful for the job, paid me cash, you know. And then I did coat check at a couple different clubs, and I've got some stories. But doing a show late like this reminds me of doing that job so many years ago, because I had to go to work at like 10 o'clock, and I had to take the bus to the club in my heels and my outfit. It's not fun. This is way more fun. Way more fun. Okay, the other thing that I did, this is very cool. I contacted someone that I met in grad school. I worked at the school paper as an editor at the school paper at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago from 2016 to 2018. And there was many very talented people, artists. I mean, it's an art school, you know, and I was in the writing department, but at the newspaper, there were these wonderful, talented folks. And one of them in particular, I think would be really good to design a logo for Quilt Nerd, because it's time, because we can't have any merch until we have a logo. You know what I'm saying? So I have been thinking about that logo, and I'm going to show you what I've been thinking about. And let's see. Nope, not yet. Don't have that. Okay, anyway, I'm thinking about like a patch, like a Girl Scout patch kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think that could be it's a good design direction to go in. And so I contacted this person, and I hope that he can take the job, and I hope I can afford him, and, you know, because that would be really exciting. So I did that. And, okay, uploaded all that. We have new emotes. God, I hope. Hey, wait a minute. Somebody subscribed, and they said, hold on, that they saw me at QuiltCon, and they had to join the Quilt Nerd thing because they really enjoyed the thing. Now, where are you? I just saw you. Well, I'll find you. Padma, by the way, and Quilting Politic, hello, and Susan and Myra. P.N. Wellen, I saw you at QuiltCon and just had to subscribe. Great presentation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Did you see the fashion one or the art one? I am really happy that you went to QuiltCon, that you were able to make it there, and that you saw the thing, and thank you for subscribing. It's so great. It was sunny, Marianne, in London today. Joyous Fivers and Kelly, and So Demented, and NDH. Saturday night, man. It's all happening. Richard is also from England. You cycled to the beach and went to the sea today. Oh, that's nice. I watched a very strange French film today. I don't want to talk about it. Fiandor, thank you so much for the music. Hey, Molly. Molly's in the car. I love it. I love it. We're your podcast today. Bip, hello, and Sandy. The hinterlands, indeed. Eat your spicy puppets. I'm so glad you can see the live show. I love your screen name. I mean, it's perfect. I have wine tonight, by the way, and I have crisps, of course. It's your first time here, Spicy Puppet. Welcome to the show. If you've never been here before, this is Quilt Nerd. We're going to talk about the quilt behind me, and we're going to talk about a bunch of different things. And if you looked at the QuiltCon winners, with whether you were there or not, and by the way, we don't talk about QuiltCon like all the time on this show. For the past month, we have, because the QuiltCon show was recent. It recently occurred. But there's a lot to the quilt world that is not that. And there's a whole lot more to the quilt world than quilt fashion. I don't know. Did I mention that I never want to look at another quilt coat again? Not because I feel a certain way about it. I'm just tired of looking at them. I've been looking at them for months. I'm so over it. But that lady at that major media publication did get back in touch with me. So we'll see. Might have an interview at some point. I don't know. Raffle Waffle is here. Hello. Fiandor, Myra. Okay, Miss Eleni, hello. Let's see. Who else is here? I think I'm Dee Marie. Hi. Lillian and BC Richard. Okay. I think I'm a little bit caught up, a little bit. If you haven't said hi, it's totally fine. We like lurkers here. That's fine. You can totally lurk. I lurk sometimes. Threadist likes the story quilt. So, by the way, if you want to vote in the poll, we're voting on what lecture I should pitch for QuiltCon next year. If you want me to do a lecture on men in quilting, where I talk to a lot of men in quilting, you do ! Vote. That's the command. And then you put a space. And then you write men. And if you want me to do a lecture on how I think we're in the third quilt revival, or I should say the first quilt revival of the 21st century, you do ! Vote, and then put a space and put revival. If you think I should give a lecture on ethics in quilting in the 21st century, inclusion, sustainability, political, whatever, put in your command and then write ethics, and your vote will be counted. And then if you want to just hear a nice lecture about story quilts, then do the command and stories, and your vote will be counted. Hey, Jill. No, I can do more than one lecture. In fact, I did 3. I usually do 3. But I think my mom and I want to do one on Quilter's newsletter. We've been talking about it. So, I don't know. I don't want to push my luck. I caused a bit of drama. You know, some people who were signed up for my Quilts and Fashion lecture asked for their money back. There were some. There were not a ton, I guess, but there were enough that I talked about it with somebody who knew. And make sure you put a space in between the ! Vote and story. See, that's the thing. That's what I want to know. There's got to be an easier way, man, to do this. So you can vote as many times as you want. I think. I don't think anyone will stop you. L Riggs, Betsy Dragonfly. I'm so glad you're here. You want the ethics, man. That's cool. I'm totally. The story votes aren't showing up. Interesting. I think they are now. I hope so. Anyway, well. Okay, so let's continue. If I haven't seen you yet, Nose to Quilts, I see you. I'll say hello more as we go through the show here. If I haven't said hi, Word and Bird Nerd, Rhonda Carnoodle, everybody's here. So here's the other thing. So we have a new emote, money back. I know. Some people were really mad at me. It's already kind of like, it's fast. Oh yeah. Okay. So how do we do an emote? So emotes, if you don't know, on Twitch. They're just emoticons, right? But they have to call them something else. So if you want to put like a welcome basket in the chat, anytime somebody's new at the show, you do a little colon and then you type, yo, Mary, Fons. I think you have to be, I think you're Mary. I think you have to be, I know this is all very technical, you have to be a subscriber, I think, to use the emotes. But for now, I'm going to keep it simple and tell you. I have made an animated emote. Hey, Kitty Hannah, you just subscribed. I guess my emote, the emote was a hard sell. Are you ready for this? Everybody watch the chat. You ready for this? I made an animated emote, and it is Estelle Witherspoon. And Estelle Witherspoon, if you're not aware, I know look, there's a lot of inside stuff tonight, but there really isn't. This is a new show. It's just been on for like, I don't know, since like summer. And that's not that long. I mean, it's really not, because it just hasn't, for me, it feels like I've been on a long time and I should know everything, but I don't. So if you put in a colon and type Estelle, type Estelle, you will get the emote that is an animated Estelle, and what it is, Jupiter's Nest. This is great. If you want to subscribe and have access to all these emotes, then you should, because they're really, really fun. There's a whole bunch of them. There's like a bee when we're mad, and there's a quilt church emote when things are just really, really beautiful and lovely in this show. We see some amazing quilt. You can put a quilt church emote. There's a nerd apple, when somebody gets really nerdy, you can give them a nerd apple. And the Estelle Witherspoon she ran the Freedom Quilting Bee back in the 1960s and maybe into the 70s. I need to find out. But Estelle was like, she was so hardcore, man, in the civil rights movement, and she ran the Freedom Quilting Bee, and several people, including the priest who helped get that thing going, said, if things were different, she could have run the state. So Estelle was our first mod. And so when you see that lady with the exclamation point going back and forth, it's Estelle alert. So she really cracked some heads when she was a moderator in this show. So if anybody ever gets spicy, and I think it's sort of fun. I mean, I don't think it's like, I think if Molly gets spicy or ornery, it's kind of a joke. You give her an Estelle alert. Oh, how you join the Discord. You know what? Would Raffle Waffle, would you, yeah, exactly. We're going to use it on SJ Pepper. Raffle Waffle, would you whisper today's toss, house, and give that person a link to the Discord? That would be great. And thank you. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Check this out. Yeah. The sound board is back. And this is what we can do, too, when Estelle, is doing her thing. We have a whole thing. So here's the other one. I made two. And then, thank you, Word and Bird Nerd. And then the other one is, I felt like we needed a, what? Like, oh, what? Like that kind of reaction. So I made Monkey What. So he's a little, so I don't know if you can see, I guess the little animation part isn't like too noticeable, but if you type monkey, it's Yo Mary Monkey What, then you'll get, and he's got like a question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, like what? I love that little monkey face. So that's like, I don't know, if you say, like if everybody thought that the Men in Quilting lecture would win, but like the pictorial quilt lecture wins by a landslide, like what? I don't know. So that's kind of fun. So 2 new emotes. All right. Well, I think that's it. Abe Books affiliate link. You will see that in action soon. I made a logo inquiry. We're doing a poll. A bunch of episodes have been uploaded to YouTube, and new emotes. Yeah. So if you're new around here, this show is about about quilts, and basically it's about culture. I mean, that's what it's really about. It's about the culture of people. I mean, people make culture, right? And so we talk about that, but our angle is quilts. We go in through quilts and their history and the people who make them. And yeah, it's like the most fun thing I've done in a really long time. Standing up or sitting down, whatever. And so that's what we do. And if you like it here, it's great. If you subscribe, that would be wonderful. And it just sort of helps support the show. I mean, I gotta get a logo, because we're gonna have like merch. And I think what I'll do. Well, anyway, we'll talk about all that. And if we have a drinking game, you should know. If we ever read live on air any piece of media or hear someone say on a video the phrase, "These aren't your grandmother's quilts," then we take a shot wherever we are in the world. I don't know. You just have to find one and do it, because it's a very tired phrase, and everybody always talks about, these aren't your grandmother's quilts, as though grandma was like lame, or that quilts are not always sort of cool. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So if that's your jam, you're going to be welcome here. So I'm going to take the poll away for now, and we're going to we'll come back to it, and I'll run that poll a few other times. Okay. Then everybody's helping out in the chat. Days Haas says there's a podcast called Not Your Grandmother's Quilts. Well, that means that we just have to drink tequila all the time, because every time that podcast airs a new episode. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Robs, how's it going? How's it great? So glad you're here. Okay. Let's take a look at the quilt behind me. You're in for a treat. This show. Oh, the reason I mentioned QuiltCon is that we're going to look at Clementine Hunter, but then we're going to look at one of the people who won an award at QuiltCon. And I don't want to say her quilt was controversial, because there's controversy and then there's buzz. But the basket quilt, do you remember? It was one of the quilts that you saw first, Best Machine Quilting, I think. There was buzz about this quilt because it was quite traditional. And so we're going to look at the person who made it and her wonderful stuff. Spicy Puppets, sometimes, it feels like there's, troubles with Twitch, but then sometimes it's just internet at home, but I hope that, but listening to the audio is fine. And you can always watch the replay too. Okay, let's get small. Okay, I know. Hello. Yeah. Okay, so I know what happened. So I changed my scene, Eric, and I didn't add the microphone to the thing. So, thanks. Thanks, Myra. So I think all I need to do is, it's audio input capture, hang on, and then I turn off the monitor, right? Right? That's how I add the thing. Okay, hang on, everybody. 1 second. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah? I was so small you couldn't hear me. I think this is, yes, great. Thank you. That was, there's always so many things, man. Okay. So yes, this is the Virgin de los Caminos. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Marianne, you're the best. Thank you for being here. And anybody in the UK being here late. Beasley Richard, thank you for being here. Okay, so this quilt, let's take a look. Let's take a look at this thing more closely. So I found this, last night was a quilt from the Smithsonian as well. But that was kind of, I don't know, I found that looking for something else. This quilt has been in the mix for being the intro quilt for a really long time. I mean, for weeks. Hey, Jupiter's Nest. Is Jupiter's Nest gifted a tier 1 sub to Jan Makes Stuff and to Shasta High Road Quilter? Thank you so much. That's so great. I appreciate you. Thank you. Wow, everybody's like doing stuff. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. It means a lot, and it's great. I appreciate you a lot. Thanks for gifting subs. It's fun to gift a sub, isn't it? Okay, so so this quilt is called. So yeah, it's been in my intro quilt folder for a long time, and I don't know. It felt right tonight. This quilt is called Virgin de los Caminos. It was made in 1994 by Consuelo Jiménez Underwood. It's embroidered and quilted cotton and silk with graphite, and it's at the Smithsonian American Art Museum. And here's about this. Consuelo Jiménez Underwood created Virgin de los Caminos, Virgin of the Roads, that's Virgin of the Roads, to reflect the struggles of Mexicans looking for opportunity in the United States. In the center of the quilt, she embroidered the Virgin of Guadalupe, to whom the travelers pray as they make the dangerous crossing. The barbed wire symbolizes the literal border between the two countries that separate insiders from outsiders, while flowers at the corners refer to Mexican festivals and holidays. The word caution and the image of a running family appear throughout the background. Now, I don't know that we can, I'm not sure that we can see it, but there's a video about this quilt that I'm going to play in just a second. We'll see more. The image of, the word caution and the image of a running family appear throughout the background, but are stitched in nearly invisible white thread. Underwood added these details to suggest that undocumented immigrants are invisible in the eyes of United States citizens. And this is a quote from Underwood. Quote, "I am a colonized indigenous artist that speaks with the authentic voice of the universal woman. El hilo, thread. With formal grace and beauty, I express the quiet rage that has permeated the indigenous culture of the Americas for over 500 years." So, this is a very powerful quilt, right? And I was thinking about all of this. There was an exhibit at the show from Indigenous quilt maker Susan Hudson and Margaret Wood, Hey, Dies Quilting. Amnesty in 1996, right? Only 2 years later. Let's see. I missed something. I missed something there. But let's see. I was going back. Okay. Let me play this video. This is very interesting. I don't know if you can hear that. The neighbors upstairs, they like to party. Okay. So let me go over here and get this video. And this video is from the Smithsonian website, like on the Smithsonian website in the entry for this quilt. This video exists, and it's 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So we'll play it and watch this. Okay. Okay. So this is the artist talking about this quilt.
It glows. It has this glow to it, which is what you get when you dye your own material.
It becomes yours.
It becomes yours, and the most important form has been needle and thread. All indigenous women throughout the world know this medium of the thread, and I'm one of them. From a plant, I can make a thread, and now that I know how to weave with sticks or loom or whatever, I can create art with nothing except me and myself and I, and the earth. So that's what attracts me to this process. I've almost gone full circle. When I first began the walk as an artist, the impetus was the form, the needle and thread. How can I make weaving and fiber cutting-edge art? But I was getting to the point where I felt that the artwork that I was doing was becoming predictable. I had the form, I had my issues, I had my methodology all down, 20 years of it. It becomes like a formula. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want formula. I wanted to make a new kind of art. 17 miles north of the border of San Diego, there's another...
I love this community. Can I just say, y'all are amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. Okay.
Border crossing. And there were a lot of people being run over in these freeways. So they decided to put up a sign to warn the motorist that there might be a family crossing you. The image is of a running family. The father dragging the mother and the mother dragging this little girl. And on the top it says caution. And for me, I thought, oh my God, they're thinking of us as animals now. Because you would always see these freeway crossings for animals. That just hit so hard that I can't shake it. So I decided to make the quilt for them, for those young ladies or little girls that perished traveling that freeway. I acquired the cloth in a thrift store. And it was a beautiful cloth that needed embroidery.
Susan, you met her?
Halfway through the embroidery, I saw the Virgen. I saw her in there. And she was dead. And right after that, barbed wires. It's got to have barbed wires here. Then I saw the caution sign that needed to be quilted into the piece. And the Virgen de los Caminos, you can barely see it. Why can't you see the family? Because they're dead. They're ghosts. They're spirits. It's there, but it's not there. And that's how the stitching is. When I see a dead person, I think of flowers as their soul. Barbed wire, I see as the futile attempt of man to control life. So there are two very powerful forces, the flowers and the barbed wire, and they're always butting against each other. Maybe in the next generation or two, those two will come be at peace. But right now, I'm the one bringing these two together.
Damn, right? Amazing. Amazing. So, yeah, that's our intro quilt. And it's Consuelo Jiménez Underwood. Okay? Consuelo Jiménez, and I think there's, there's an accent. Hold on one second. Jiménez Underwood. Yeah, exactly. If this is a story quilt, I change my vote, says P.N. Wellen. Wow, Yeah, I mean, I think it is. That's an interesting thing, too. Like, how do we define story quilts, Like, what does that even mean? But it is. It absolutely is. I mean, if Chilean arpilleras are telling stories of, persecution and, telling the stories of people who couldn't, for one reason or another, write down this particular history of their family, and they're stitching it together. I mean, yeah, that's a very good point. So yeah, this is like Quilt Church moment for sure. Yeah. Okay. Now let me get something here. Because my book is right over here. And I forgot to grab it before I started the show. anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to transition too quickly. But yes, but there's so much to do. So let's do it. Yeah, that's just the intro quilt. Okay, so you guys remember this book? I mean, this quilt, right? And you probably remember this book, Story Quilt. Oh my God! I didn't even think about it. I really didn't make the connection. Like I didn't. Well, that's because somebody just said, who just said P and Wellen is like, if this is a story quilt, I change my vote. You know, and we agree that perhaps this is a story quilt. So now we're talking about story quilts, and now we go to this because this is like an update. You know, we did this as the intro quilt a few weeks ago with my mom, right? Oh yeah, you need the chat back. Thank you so much. Thank you. The chat is back. So yeah, Dee Marie loves this book. And you know what? If you don't have this book yet, check this out. Well, that's the thing, Padma. This is a very good question. Are story quilts, so is it story quilts or pictorial quilts, or are they the same? It's a very good point. I mean, I don't know. It's like when I pitch a lecture, it's like, that's what I want to know, you know? Like, those are the things I find out. That's what I should say. But it's tough because if I pitch a lecture that's called Pictorial Quilts, and then it ends up being about story quilts. Titles are hard. I mean, if you title something before you actually write and prepare a lecture, you get into trouble. I mean, I could tell you some stories. Okay, so check this out. So if you don't know what this book is, I will show you about it. I will show you more about it. So check this out. So http s quiltnerd.link/story quilts book. Do you see that link? That is an affiliate link. Yes, I made up, it's an Abe Books affiliate link. See, around here, all I do is talk about books that are out of print, pretty much. And so I buy books at Abe Books. I don't know. I like it. There's Amazon. It's fine. But Abe Books isn't Amazon. It's like Twitch not being YouTube. I don't know. It's just the rebel in me. I just don't want to use YouTube and Amazon all day. So I use Twitch and Abe Books. I don't know. It's a thing. So that link, that's right. I figured it out. Thank you. That will take you to, all right, the link for this book. And I will get at least 2 cents if you order that book with that link. There's also, just in case you haven't ordered it yet, I made another, because I had to try this out, you know. I had to try out this process, the Hearts and Hands book, Hearts and Hands. We talk about that book a lot. So that link should work. Lord help me if it doesn't work. Anyway, and the book that we're going to talk about tonight, I have a link for that too. So anyway, so this book is really wonderful. Story Quilts and How to Make Them by Mary Claire Clarke. I mean, it's really special. And I think Dee Marie, didn't you say, like, what did you say to me? You said something like, I've been making quilts for decades and I learned more from this book than I've learned in like the last whatever. I mean, it's a very powerful book. I mean, it shows you how to make, you know, story quilts, like how to cut out the birds. And hey, you know what, Spicy Puppets, if you're going bowling, that is approved. Although, actually, no. I don't use the boo button very often, but it's in good fun. I'm so glad you were here. Thank you for coming. Come back. So not only do they have, you know, not only does the person who wrote this book, good Dee Marie, have how-to. There's Shelley Ziegert, who my friend Jonathan knows. Shelley Ziegert wrote wonderful stuff about really famous pictorial quilts in here, including this one. I pulled out this book because I was looking at some story quilt stuff that I wanted to make myself. And I was like, oh, well, I need to read to you what it says about this because I didn't realize. Hey, Stokey Ware. Ooh, every picture tells a story. Or every quilt tells, I mean, yes, I love that. I love it. Stokey, welcome back, by the way. I'm really glad you're here. Okay. So when Mom and I talked about this quilt a few weeks ago in Iowa, I didn't have this book with me. So I'm going to read to you. It's short, but I want to tell you more about this thing because we didn't have this thing before. Okay, mother-in-law quilt. Cotton applique. 83 by 70. 1930, Missouri. Lulu Newcombe Bennett. This is from, Shelley Ziegert wrote the introduction, so I think this is Mary Claire Clarke. Okay. Lulu Newcombe Bennett, the maker of this light-hearted quilt, was born in 1885 in rural Harold's Prairie Township, I can zoom in a little bit here, in White County, Illinois. That's funny. A local celebrity. She was known as a skillful seamstress as well as a songwriter. What? Poet and designer of amusing quilts. Okay, that. Who does not want to be known after their death as a designer of amusing quilts? That's what I want to be known as. A towering house, a patient dog, and a feeble-looking mother-in-law making her way up the garden path captures the humor and imagination for which Lulu Bennett is remembered by those who knew her. Isn't this great? I love this show. I do. This quilt was made for her daughter-in-law after she heard a joke on the radio that went like this. One man said to another, "I cut off my dog's tail this morning." The other man said, "What'd you do that for?" The first man said, "Because I don't want him wagging his tail, showing how happy he is when my mother-in-law comes to visit." No, it's fine. It's great. It's great. It's great. Rarely do we have so much information about what inspires someone to make a quilt. It's true. And it is refreshing to know that inspirations can come from such a variety of sources. Isn't this fun? Yeah, exactly. Estelle alert. We did. Kitty Hannah, we did. We looked at it but we didn't have this information because I found information about this quilt in this book, so I had to read it because this is at the Art Institute of Chicago, this quilt. But they don't have this in there, They don't, they ought to, but they don't have this information. It's just the quilt and the maker, So there's a little bit more about it. Worked in municipal green against a warm gray sky. Looks blue to me, but yeah. Lulu's fabric choices are an excellent indicator of popular colors of the period. The simplicity of the appliqued and embroidered design. I'm going to zoom down in here on this. Look at the little dog. Oh, it's so cute. The appliqued and embroidered design is enhanced by the cross-hatch quilting in the entire background. The prairie point border, can we just appreciate the prairie point border? Made by carefully folding squares into small triangles and inserting between layers of the quilt, right, was a fashionable way of finishing quilts in the first half of the 20th century. A discreet sign at the footpath reading, "The home that tenderly greets the mother-in-law," adds a playful and personal touch to the quilt. Is Padma reading ahead? The siren's getting a lot of action tonight, but that's an Estelle moment. So if you just came in, we have a new emote, and it's Estelle alert. Anytime somebody's reading ahead, that's the Estelle alert for sure. Anyway, so I had to tell you how fun. So it's really this is a quilt inspired by a joke, is the joke funny? I don't know. Humor changes, styles change, fashion changes, and humor for sure changes. Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, I might as well show you that too. So I have postcards. When you're a subscriber at $9.99 a month, you get a personal postcard from me. And look at this one that I found. This is about the Raja quilt. The Raja quilt. Jay Dancer. Jay Dancer, you just subscribed. I'm so glad you did. That's awesome. If you're at $9.99, you may get this postcard. But no matter, I don't care. I don't care. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. It's great. It encourages me a great deal. Okay. And it helps, pay the bills. Okay. So that's the mother-in-law quilt. We're really rocking through, man. Okay. Let's talk about Clementine Hunter. Oh, you are in for a treat. The quilt does get better and better. Where is S.J. Pepper? I don't know. Kitty Hannah, the mother-in-law quilt is giving me Wizard of Oz scarecrow vibes. Yeah, it's a lot. You have to appreciate that little dog now, though, right? He's so cute. He was cute before. But yeah, she's kind of creepy. Okay, so are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this jelly. Strangely enough, says Qua Qua Cat, I have a family quilt from St. Louis that must have been made around the same time. Prairie points and a very similar blue fabric. And it's your first time chat. Qua Qua Cat, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome baskets in the chat. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for saying hi. The chat is a fun place to be. So let me just zoom. Well, I'm not going to zoom in on this quilt yet. So prairie points? Who's done them? I'm so curious about that. And isn't it interesting, to read that from the book, about prairie points being really popular at that time? That's what you get on the Quilt Nerd Show. We just nerd out, and then you learn about the quilts you have in your life, and you learn about, quilts, the kinds of quilts that were made. And it's, like I said, it's about culture. It's really about culture and what people were into and stuff. If you've made a prairie point, if you've done prairie points, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you've made a prairie point quilt. My mom has, and I think we did it on the show. I think we did it on the Love of Quilting television show. That's the one time these hands have touched prairie points. You've done them. There's some people, there's some people who have. Di has, Jill, Shasta has. Hey, Shasta. Want to try? Haven't done them. They look really cool, and they feel really cool, Running your hands across those was nice. Okay, so this is a quilt by Clementine Hunter, okay? I am going to just make this just a tiny bit. Yeah, okay. So I've got a lot of quilts to show you by Clementine Hunter. I'm going to come back to this quilt. This is the first quilt I ever saw made by Clementine Hunter. Yeah, why are they called prairie points? The Flinster did 2 feet of them and decided to stop. That's approved. That's approved. Okay, I need an approved sound effect, Okay, so we're going to come back to this quilt. Okay. So that's Clementine Hunter. It's one picture. I have several pictures of Clementine Hunter. And what you're looking at is a picture of Clementine, obviously, and a detail shot of a painting that she made. Thank you, Padma. So I've printed off a bunch of things to read to you about Clementine Hunter. And I have a lot of pictures to show you because she is a very famous artist. And her quilts are, they're amazing. They're amazing, right? Let's go back to this one really quick. And she was a painter as well, okay? She was a painter as well. And her paintings, I would say her paintings are probably even more, chat's covering her face. Oh, no. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was talking and not looking at that. Yeah, so let's just get rid of this for a second. Sorry, guys. What was I saying? Yeah, she was a very famous artist, painter, okay? When I say famous painter or famous artist, she passed away in 1988. But one of the things that I found for you all is was a quilt that was sold at Christie's. Her work is very valuable, and in fact, one of the things that I printed off that I haven't read yet was talking about counterfeits. It's in her Wikipedia page about counterfeits. So I don't know about that yet because, one thing that you should know about Quilt Nerd if you haven't been here is that I don't, I pull a lot of content and I get visuals ready for you. That's so important for this show and we like to look at things. But I don't prepare a presentation because I want to discover things with you. So I know a bit about Clementine Hunter because we featured her in the Louisiana issue of Quilt Folk magazine back in 2017. But, that's 5 years ago now. And yeah, there's just a lot to know and a lot to rediscover. So I discover with you as I read this stuff, okay? Hey, small town roots. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. This is great. Oh, my darling Clementine. Indeed. So let's look at this, okay? So this is another one of her paintings, and I've got mostly quilts, but you need to know about this. Okay, so this is from the Christie's website, okay? Because one of her works was there. I found one of her works that sold for $9,600. Okay, from Christie's, quote. And I can get the chat back up. Hang on one second. I'm gonna do this. Her story is very interesting. Okay. Look at that. It says the Black Grandma Moses. That's what this this is from the Saturday Evening Post, what you're looking at, from 1961. Clementine Hunter with quilt. At right is her friend and mentor, Francoise Mignon. And we're going to learn about him, I'm sure. But she's there with Francoise Mignon at Melrose Plantation. Clementine Hunter, the Black Grandma Moses, quote unquote, whose work is becoming well known, with Francoise, right? Francoise Mignon, who, quote unquote, discovered her. Indeed. Yes. I'm glad they put it in quotes too, because that's a whole thing, right? Okay. In 1955, this is from Christie's website, an illiterate former farm laborer, Clementine Hunter, became the first Black artist to have a solo show at the New Orleans Museum of Art. The S is silent in Francois? Yeah, Francois. By the time of her death in 1988, she had received an honorary Doctor of Fine Arts degree, been invited to Washington, D.C. by President Jimmy Carter, and she had become a household name in her home state. Whoa! Where October 1st is now Clementine Hunter Day. That's so great! That's so awesome! I didn't know that. How cool. Francois Mignon. Kelly, band would be a good sound effect. I want to know more. I want to know more about this band sound effect. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. Okay. I gotta get back to this. I missed something in the chat, and I gotta focus. Remarkably, Hunter had only taught herself to paint when she was in her mid-50s. Hell yeah, that's so great. You can do anything you want, anytime. There's no cap on age limit to do things. Did you know Toni Morrison wrote her first novel at age 39? Did you know that? I just hadn't used that one in a while. Yeah, Toni Morrison wrote Beloved, I think was her first novel, at 39. Okay. I know the cleavage. Look at the cleavage on those hearts. Thank you, exactly. Didn't my mom come up with that? Quote, her life was anything but easy. But for Hunter, painting became her way of understanding her world, unquote. That was from Kara Zimmerman, a specialist in outsider art at Christie's in New York. Outsider art. Sorry. Hunter was born in 1887 on Louisiana's, I've got some detail shots of that quilt, on Louisiana's notorious Hidden Hill Plantation, the harsh conditions of which were said to have been the inspiration for the abolitionist novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, published in 1852. I didn't know that either. Her parents were Creole farmhands, and her grandparents had been slaves. Aged 15, having received fewer than 10 days' schooling, she moved to the nearby Melrose Plantation, working her way up from cotton picking to the position of housekeeper and cook, although the few cents she earned each day could only be spent at the plantation store. By contrast to the dire Hidden Hill, Melrose was relatively liberal. The estate's owner was a wealthy and educated woman named Cammie Henry, who turned the house into a retreat for white artists. So I've been to Melrose Plantation. It's a very interesting place. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, Jade answer, literacy is a first world privilege we take for granted. 1000%. Like, absolutely true. I hadn't really thought about it like that. You're absolutely right. It is a privilege. It is a privilege. So in 1939, an artist by the name of Alberta Kinsey left behind a set of paints and brushes. So this is the quilt we've just been looking at under glass. Okay, it's under glass at this gallery where I got that. Kinsey Gallery? Yeah, a gallery that was selling some of her work at one point. Okay. In 1939, an artist by the name of Alberta Kinsey left behind a set of paints and brushes, which Hunter uncovered while cleaning. Using an old window shutter as her canvas, she began to mark out the shapes of a river baptism scene. So this image, by the way, and they're going to talk about her quilts, and I'll talk about her quilts more, but this picture was taken by quilt folk photographer Leah Nash at the Plantation, at the Melrose, which is now a historical site that you can visit. And that's the quilt that's on the bed upstairs. So she made, as you can see, she made a lot of these different quilts with Melrose Plantation as the subject. I mean, I've got many of them here to show you, but this is the one that's on, or at least was on the bed when we were there at Melrose. And you can see the label there. I mean, this is such a great photo because it was for the magazine. You can see all the little stitches, fascinating. Wow. Wow, Padma. Wow. Fascinating. Okay. Hunter was soon working with everything she could find. Wine bottles, gourds, cardboard boxes, and the tube ends of pigment thinned with turpentine. And she painted nostalgic memories of farm work and religious ceremonies on the bank of the Cane River. She developed a colorful style that favored surrealism over perspective. When asked why she painted a giant chicken pulling a cart, she quipped, quote, "If the chicken wasn't big, it wouldn't be able to pull it." Unquote. Nice. That's fabulous. Very, very nice. Okay. Ooh. So now, this next thing, I have an example of this. Hang on. Let me go to, I'm going to come back, but I want to show you this. Look in the lower right-hand corner there. Unable to spell her name, Hunter signed her works with a backward C and H monogram. See that? Right by my shoulder there. And began selling these works for less than $1. A sign on her studio door read, "Clementine Hunter, artist, 50 cents a look." To make a little extra, she also sold visitors homemade popsicles. Hunter enjoyed, Zimmerman says, quote, "Hunter enjoyed selling her works directly to the customers." Here's another great detail shot of that quilt from the Quilt Folks shoot. Hunter enjoyed selling her works directly to the collectors who made pilgrimages to see her work. For her, success wasn't about glossy galleries, but direct encounters with the people who admired and appreciated her art. Hunter produced some 5,000 works during the second half of her life, working at night behind a kerosene lamp. There's a better picture. Well, here, okay, this is the back, right? This must be the back. I couldn't find where this picture was. I pulled all these things, and this looks like it's the back, right? With paper foundation? I think so. She worked at night beside a kerosene lamp in her 4-roomed, tin-roofed tenant cabin, which is now listed on America's Register of Historic Artists' Homes and Studios. Her masterpiece, a 9-panel domestic cycle on the walls of the Melrose Plantation African House, a kind of Sistine Chapel of folk art, can be seen on Google Street View. What? Okay, we'll find that. I didn't see that. Okay, so her work can be found in the National Museum of Women in the Arts, Smithsonian, and the American Folk Art Museum. Okay, so this is, Joyous Fibers is pouring a bourbon. I love that. So, okay, so this quilt, the first one I showed you, this is in the Smithsonian, okay? Let's talk about it. This is the Melrose quilt. I mean, they're kind of all titled Melrose Plantation Quilt or Melrose Quilt. Okay, this quilt depicts several notable buildings at Melrose, including the Big House, which is the one right there in the middle, right? Yucca House, and African House, in which Hunter painted a now historic mural of plantation life in 1955. So I think, yeah, it's this one down here. That's Yucca House. I think so. I mean, I kind of remember the one right below the chat box, but we'll make sure. Okay, but what's interesting when I was looking at her stuff, her quilts, first of all, I didn't realize there were quite so many as there were. So, and this Francois Mignon guy, Francois Mignon, we've got to learn a little bit more about him. So there were there's a lot of quilts, which I didn't really know about that. Hang on, see, there's this one too. I mean, there's a bunch. My new mantra will be Clementine Hunter. 1,000%. Like, that's good. I mean, the word Clementine, is there a more beautiful word? I don't know. So let me just read about the quilts, and then we'll find Francois. This is from her Wikipedia entry under the heading Quilt Making. Okay. Hunter lived in communities of black sharecroppers and tenant farmers, where she learned to sew clothes and household items. It's interesting there, that figure. Before she began painting, she would sew clothes for family, would make quilts, and weave baskets. So much red, you're right, dye, totally. Francois Mignon recognized Hunter's talents with fabric. Wait a minute. Hang on, let's just see who this guy is. I think he was somebody at the artists, the artist retreat, right? I feel like I did know this at one time, but no, I can't remember. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Hunter gained support from numerous individuals associated with Melrose Plantation, including Francois Mignon, a friend of Cami Henry. Okay, yeah, the lady who started the thing. He supplied her with paint and materials and promoted her widely. Okay, Hunter's paintings were displayed in the local drugstore where they were sold for $1. Okay, $1. In 1956, Hunter and Mignon co-authored Melrose Plantation Cookbook, featuring photographs of Melrose Plantation, illustrations drawn by Hunter, and recipes. I don't know if that's on Abe Books, but if it is, give me a second. I don't know if it is. Look at this, even more. I had no idea she made so many quilts. Hunter was skilled at reinterpreting traditional dishes, which were passed down in her family by oral tradition. Okay, I know. The figures are wonderful, and the houses are so great. They're so great. Turkey red. I know. I don't think, you know what? At the time that this was made, Padma, I think that it would be, yeah, exactly. I think it probably didn't bleed as much. I mean, we don't know, but it's an astute, it's good. Okay, so let's go back to this quilting thing. Francois recognized Hunter's talents with fabric and sewing before he saw any of her painted works. What? On December 19th, 1939, those flowers are really lovely. Yeah, no, it's true, Lillian. It's totally true. It's totally true. Yeah, the bleeding would be minimal. Exactly. Okay. In 1939, Mignon recorded in his journals that Clementine first showed him dolls she created with embroidered figures. Embroidered features, sorry. Additionally, he wrote that she was exceptionally talented at making fringe and can spin cotton. She could also make hand-tied lace curtains. Look at this. This is another. And look at the houses, right? They're the same. You know, it's the plantation. It's these different houses. There's a church, a chapel. Hunter's quilts and tapestries are clear examples of her artistic talent before she began painting. So these predate the paintings. And feature subjects and her color palette that are central to the majority of her artwork. Many of her quilts are titled Melrose Quilt or Melrose Plantation Tapestry or Textile, as many of them depict buildings on the Melrose grounds. This fabric choice is great. The Melrose Plantation Textile, which is hand appliqued and and sewn, is from 1938 or 39 and is thematically similar to her painted works. I think that's the first one we saw. Most of Hunter's textile work is owned in private collections. However, a photograph of Hunter in her home shows her using one of her chevron quilts as a couch covering. Okay, so I think that's what I have next, actually. Oh, no. Okay, so there's one more. This one. This is a detail shot, I believe. But now I found these other things, you guys. I found these chevron quilts that I didn't realize she made them. So look at this. Look at this. I mean, you want to talk prairie points? Like, forget about it. You know what? I'm actually going to show you a detail shot first. Look at this. I mean, yeah. So this is Clemmy Hunter. This is also Clemmy Hunter. I know. Whew. Hunter made several quilts that are more abstract. Chevron quilt is at the New Orleans Museum of Art. That's this one. It's at the New Orleans Museum of Art. Lily got flagged. Lily got flagged by some. But I can't find your thing, Lily. You're totally okay. I don't know what typo or what thing happened to flag you, but you're totally okay. But now I can't find armor. I don't even know. I just saw like a flag thing. I didn't even read it. I just knew you were fine. Well, I think you know what that is. You know what that is. It's an Estelle alert. Just kidding. Okay, so some of the squares of the chevron. I'm gonna zoom in here. Dirty commenter. Somehow I feel like Lily, that's not your style. I just have a feeling. Some of the squares of chevron are alternating solid colors. Oh, look at this background. That is the coolest thing ever. Totally rocks. A pangolin. Interesting. Robin's nest. Isn't it wild? Yeah, other squares are pieces of scrap patterned cloth. I mean, are you kidding me? Look at this. This is wonderful. It's amazing. Although Hunter's abstract paintings made in 1962 and in 1936 are generally regarded as a break in her canon, her early textile work and paintings play with abstraction and impressionism. Additionally, Shelby Gillies' collection of Hunter's crazy quilts or chevron quilts are dated as 1960. Now, this one, okay, so I told you the gallery that had one of those quilts under glass, that's the Gilly gallery. So anyway, I don't know much about that person or the gallery, but I mean, that sounds like a person who's really deeply in her work and her whole thing. Shelby Gill, okay, is dated as 1960. And the Chevron quilt at the New Orleans Museum of Art, which is this one, is dated 1951. I mean, are you seeing this? It's crazy. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's bananas. Yeah. Yeah, Rox, you thought from a distance it was just a chevron design. I mean, that's just all individual pieces of fabric. I've never seen a quilt like this. I mean, I don't know. Have you? I've seen I've seen quilts like this that are in a circle, right? Like the, medallion quilt like this. I've seen that. In fact, and I've seen it. I think Nora Ezell made one of the. Where did I see it? But I've seen this kind of quilt come out of the South. African American makers. Like by African American makers. I've seen this kind of thing. The Prairie Point, extravaganza. I've seen before. Pine burr. That's what it is. Pine burr. You get it. You get the nerd apple for sure. It must weigh a ton. 1,000%. Yeah. 2022 scrap quilt. I think so. Yeah, the circle. The threadist remembers it was the circle quilt that terrified me. It was a very scary quilt. It just was like the void, So there's a close up again. I mean, look how she's used the 2-color thing, right there. Okay, so I just read ahead. Here's another one. Picture is not great, but this is another quilt, and this is from 1960. This is one that the Gilly Gallery had. Yeah, I don't want to zoom in too much. I mean, I can. But it's pretty low-res chevron pine burr quilt. Don't look too close. It'll make you feel ill. Okay. But guess what? There's more. There's even more. 1960 was amazing. I talked a lot about the 1960s in my Quilts and Fine Art lecture, which don't let me forget. I have to ask you all about this. I have to ask you, how can I share this lecture with you all? That's what I'm asking you right now. I want to share my QuiltCon lectures with you. And I want to make it for subscribers, but I also just want to make it for anybody. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm going to make it for everybody. I am because I want to, like, maybe I make it like an event, and anybody who couldn't go to QuiltCon, can I'll go live and I'll do it. Because I want to do it. I worked so hard on those lectures. My God. I want to share them. They're really good. I mean, they're 2 of my best ever, and I work really hard on those things, and I want to share them. So I think I'm just going to, I think I'll, I don't know, maybe put it on Instagram or whatever, that I'm going to do it. I mean, and you know what? As I say that, I am thinking, like, it would be a good promotion too, right? To like say like, hey, I'm doing my lecture live, come to Twitch. That would be smart, right? I can fundraise. Hey, I could fundraise. I gotta do it, you guys, because I really want to I really want to share it. Was the QuiltCon talk recorded? No, it wasn't. A live event. Yeah, little bird. Yeah, a live event. Yeah. Okay, cool, man. All right. I'll figure out how to do it. It'll be a whole thing. I'll make it'll be in a few weeks, and I'll try to pump it up. I am very bad at promoting things. Very bad at it, but I got to get better at it. So this is a Clementine Hunter quilt. Okay, you have to. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. I'll figure out how to do it. I mean, the hard part is definitely over. Is making the thing and then delivering the thing on stage. This is no problem. Knock on wood. Okay, so anyway, there's 2 other quilts by Clementine Hunter, you guys. Or maybe I have one more little detail. But I didn't know. Ivy Godiva, thanks for subscribing. Nice quilt. I agree. I think this is great. I didn't know Clementine Hunter made the chevron quilts, and I didn't know she made these. And I mean, there's a couple that we know of. There's this one, and then there's one other one. But But as we finish out Clementine Hunter, no Nose to Quilts. I haven't heard back. But Jade Anstier asks, does the Modern Quilt Guild make you sign anything about them owning the content? We do sign a contract, but the content is ours. Like, it's the content creators' content, you know. Yeah. And if they don't record them. They take pictures. But yeah, we own the stuff. That would be quite the contract to enter into, you know. Marianne, the universe is telling you to go to bed. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. And and they'll be recorded. So yeah, Marianne, thanks for staying up with me, and anybody who's over here in the UK. It's late. Yeah, it's late. Okay, yay for IP. Yeah. Okay. Good night, Marianne. It's good to see you. I gotta see. Maybe we can hang out before I leave. Yeah. Anyway. I'll call you. So as I close this out, I've got 5 fast facts from about Clementine Hunter. And here's this other quilt. This says, what is this from? This is from, what's this from? Oh dear. National Museum of Women in the Arts. This is from the National Museum of Women in the Arts. Good night, Beasley. Listen, thanks for coming. And it's a later night, you know, I know, but I'm glad you're here. Susan Michael's making a drink, so anything goes. But thanks for coming, Beasley. Okay. Hunter lived and worked at Melrose Plantation, built by and for free black people for 75 years. When Melrose became a haven for artists and writers, Hunter gained access to the materials and encouragement needed to begin painting. Today, Melrose is one of 12 sites in the Historic Artists' Homes and Studios network that celebrates the contributions of American women and American women artists. I love this quilt too. Isn't this great? Yeah, the deep blue and yellow. Yeah, it's really great. That's a great block, you know? It's really, really cool. I mean, half square triangles, no problem. But then really all that's going on is the sashing inside of the block. Or maybe, yeah, right, Di. I mean, or is that like, is that appliqued on? I don't know. Like, how, okay, so construction people, it has a lot of energy indeed. How is this made? I mean, it's interesting because if you put sashing in the middle of those half square triangles, like if you added that, and if that's pieced is what I'm trying to say, that would really cock up your, you know, half square triangle plan for the rest of the block. It is pieced. Yeah, it does look pieced. Interesting. Wouldn't have considered black as a dashing color. Yeah, sash. Yeah. Clever use of color. Yeah, let's zoom out a little bit too. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, look, the black and the white. It's like a ladder in the middle, you know? The cornerstones don't. It's kind of like, I mean, it's a strip quilt in a way, isn't it? You know, like a Chinese coin kind of thing where you've got these pieces running down the middle and then these that separated. But the white, it's so good. It's so good. Hannah says, without the sashing, the half square triangles in the middle are smaller than the ones on the outer border. Right. So it's pieced, right? She pieced the blue. You make a fit. Shasta, you make a fit. Yeah. Yes, okay, got it. Yeah, that seems like what's going on. Yeah. Prairie Susie, the HST with the sashing looks smaller than the ones around them. Maybe they were the cutoffs from making the larger ones. Yeah. Yep. Fast fact number 2. Hunter painted on a variety of sources, including boards, window shades, and jugs. While her work recalls artistic traditions across time and space and place, narratives on ancient Chinese scrolls and Greek pottery, in Egyptian and Renaissance works, and on repurposed found objects in modern art sprang independently from Hunter's imagination. This was cool that I found that the back of one of the quilts. Just, we always like to see the back, right? Fast fact number 3. As at the prudent recommendation and steady hand of an early supporter, Hunter's name first appeared on her works in the mid-1940s. Her signature evolved over time. We saw the backwards C and the H. Historically, unsigned art, especially by women artists, has been vulnerable to misattribution. And this is the last quilt I'll show you. And then, okay, so here, number 4, fast fact number 4 out of 5. Controlling her narrative, recognizing the growing interest in her work, Hunter took charge of her image and success. She mounted pay-to-see exhibitions at her home. Okay, charged visitors to take pictures with her, love it, sold her work for modest prices, and even created the occasional self-portrait. Okay, this next one, number 5. Hunter forgeries have circulated since the 1970s. In 2009, the FBI finally cracked the case, putting an end to decades of deception. The dead giveaway? The forger added dirt to age his knockoffs, but the soil wasn't from Melrose. Wait a minute. No. Hang on. Hunter forgeries have circulated since the 1970s. But in 2009, the FBI finally cracked the case, putting an end to decades of deception. Okay, yeah, the forger added dirt to age his knockoffs, but the soil wasn't from Melrose. Considered the first FBI case of its kind, it legitimized folk art and protected Hunter's legacy. Wow. Yeah, Raffle Waffle. Thank you. Use the monkey what? That is the perfect emote for this. Just type in monkey. It's going to come up. Monkey what? What? I just love his little face. I love that monkey meme face. So that is very interesting. So that's a little bit about Clementine Hunter, a famous American folk artist, She, she made these wonderful quilts. And look, that's her signature evolving over time, because there was a backward H, and then that H is placed the other way. Excuse me. And yeah, and then I think the last picture is this. Oh, the last picture is of her, but then let's look at this there's this figure, and then I have a beautiful picture of her that is her picture on the Wikipedia page. There's a book. There's a book of the FBI solving a quilt forgery case. Well, that is good to know. And hang on, HTTPS. Quiltnerd.link/ Clementine. Did I do it right? Yes, I did it right. So there's a book, Art from the Heart, folk artist Clementine Hunter. And I just put a link in the chat. That's the affiliate link for a book about Clementine Hunter. But I didn't know, Padma, that there's a book about the FBI thing. That's amazing. That is amazing. Whoa. Okay, hang on. I gotta see that, because that's really fascinating. Let's see if A Books has it. Okay, let me see. Clementine Hunter FBI. Is that gonna get it? Oh, wait a minute. Is it? Is it this one? Hold on. What? Wow. Okay, well, this is a really cool book too. Okay, check this out. Hang on. I don't know if this is the one, but look how quickly I can get this affiliate link. It's pretty exciting. So there's that. Hang on. See, you know what? Maybe one day I'll have maybe one day a mod can, I'll give you all my credentials. And then, oh, I think I did it and then you can do it for me, and I'll be like, hit that affiliate link. But I think I got it already, actually. Okay, I do this, Clementine art. Okay, watch this. Oh, copy. Look at this. This takes you to another one. Padma, I don't know. This isn't the one you were looking at, I don't think, but that book looks really beautiful too. It's very late. Oh, Padma wants you to read the book. Oh, there should be a book. You know what? Here's the thing. I don't know if Molly's still in here, but the 12 Quilters book, like I think about it all the time. And Mary Kay Waldvogel was going to send me her files. We gotta move on to Frieda. Was going to send me her file on Bertha Meckstroth, and I think maybe she sent it to the wrong address. I don't know. But the Bertha Meckstroth sample chapter, I think about it all the time. We've talked about, if you haven't seen it, we talked about this. There should be a book of 12 biographies, right? 12 extraordinary people, Estelle Witherspoon being one of them. 12 extraordinary women in the quilt story of America. And I'm going to write it. You all are going to help me research it, and I'm going to write it. Okay. It is very late. So let's look at Frieda briefly, right? Because it is pretty late. It's 1:45 in the morning. So I wanted to look at this. So do you remember this quilt? Do you remember? Oh, and the Murderous Quilter book. I think it's a movie. It's a script. It's the scary, scary quilter horror movie. And Eric, who loves horror movies, I told him about it just yesterday. I was like, we've come up with a whole thing, the Quiltmaker. I was like, just think about it, Eric. Think about all of the scary, scary, things. Sewing machines and rotary cutters. I mean, there's a lot of really creepy stuff. Needles, seam rippers. Ugh. It's pretty gross. It's really pretty gross. Okay. So here we go. Let's talk about this quilt. So who saw this quilt at QuiltCon? I mean, if you did, you don't have to. But, I mean, let me put it this way. Have you all seen this quilt online or, on your Instagram? Or did you see it at the show? This quilt is called, hang on. She wore stilettos and she used stilettos to kill. Padma, that's very good. Yes, stilettos, exactly. Skin as fabric, joy as fiber. Cheers. It's 1:45 in the morning. I'm drinking wine and I'm online. What's happening? It's a bad idea. No, it's a great idea. Woolen Pearls, hello. Hey, Woolen Pearls, I'm so glad you're here. This is great. So I saw it in person too. It's fabulous. It's amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous. It glows. It vibrates. It's fabulous. It's by a woman named Frieda Anderson. And it is, hold on, let me get you the measurements here. I printed out, oh, here we go. Yeah. Wait, I printed all of this out. One second. So it is 55 by 55. Oh yeah, here we go. And it won for best machine quilting on a frameless machine. It's so vibrant. Exactly. Let me zoom in here. Wow. I have a couple detail shots too from her blog. Okay, but let's start at the top here. So it's got buttons on it as well. So this is from Frieda's website. Quote, "Jump for joy. My quilt, Cherry Basket, won Best Machine Quilting on a Frameless Machine at QuiltCon last night. Woo woo. Wish I'd been there to see the ceremony. Thank you, judges, and thank you, eQuilter, for sponsoring this award. Cherry Basket, 55 by 55 inches, machine pieced with artist-dyed hand cotton, silk and linen fabrics. Machine quilted with silk and rayon thread and hand-dyed cotton, 12-weight thread with button embellishments." So I'm going to read you her artist statement and show you a few of the other quilts she's made. Uh-oh. There was an audio thing? Oh, dear. Audio's back. Okay, good, Bip. Oh, good. So it was done on her domestic. Yes, PNW, Alan, it was. I think that's what that means, right? I think. I mean, I'm not, that's not a rhetorical question. Like, is that what it means where there's no frame? So it's not a long arm, right? She did it on her domestic. Can we confirm that? Because I'm not actually sure. So I'm going to read her artist statement. And I said I was going to cheers you, Joyous Fibers, and I didn't. All right. So the reason I wanted to show it, not just because it's amazing, but, and I'm not trying to, God help me, I'm trying to start anything. That's not even it. All I'm saying is two people, just two, were like, how about this quilt? Like, wow. The first thing that they said was, it's amazing. And the second thing that these two different people said, independently of the other, is, it's so traditional. I'm surprised to see it at QuiltCon in this particular way. You know, like I didn't say it. I'm just reporting. Don't kill the messenger. But as they said that, I was like, interesting. Because, so we're analyzing things. That's all we're doing. We're talking. That's all we're doing. She's extraordinarily talented. She's amazing. I'm going to read her artist statement. I wanted to feature her on the show because she's great. But I have never seen a basket quilt at QuiltCon, right? Like, I haven't seen all the quilts at QuiltCon. I don't remember everything, and I'm sure that there have been. We're quilt nerds. We look at stuff. I mean, you can see I'm very tender, right? Because I'm just like, the last thing I need is like Frieda Anderson being like mad at me, you know, and like starting something. I love this quilt. It's so amazing. And I think it's really great. And it's totally like deserving to win. But it is interesting to see a basket quilt and this feather, very, very intense, beautiful feather design. Also, in a quilt at QuiltCon. It's you don't see it every year, right? We're heading into the 10th year. Next year will be the 10th year of QuiltCon, right? Or the 10th QuiltCon. And yes, and so that's what I want to know from you. So the green is not traditional, 1000%. The colors, it's a riff on tradition. I completely agree. It's a modern look at a traditional design, 1000%. I think traditional would be with a cream/white background, 1000%. Shasta, it is surprising to see at a modern quilt show. I think it's really interesting because of that. I mean, I do, and the buttons too, although, I mean, the buttons, that's, to me, so we saw a couple quilts with buttons at the show this year. And if somebody could find, oh man, I don't know, we have it on the live stream. I can go back and look. The live streams of QuiltCon are down right now because I haven't gotten permit. I mean, I just don't know if I can put them back up yet. I don't want to break the rules for like, we're not press when we live stream, but like I said, I don't need any trouble. So I've got the live streams of QuiltCon. They're not viewable right now, but as soon as I'm okay to put them back up, I will. So we saw a quilt during the show when we were walking the show. Do you remember that it had a dark gray background and an extraordinary neon orange? It was a medallion quilt and it had all this neon orange in it. If someone knows, and it had buttons on it. So there were two quilts that I recall with buttons on them. I mean, I don't know. Has anybody else seen Chris Mess? Chris Mess is in the house. Chris Mess. Whoa, I mean. I'm glad you're here. So hold on. The chat's going crazy, and I gotta catch up. Okay. But that wonderful quilt. If somebody knows what I'm talking about, please let me know, because it is amazing. But to see buttons, it's crazy. Padma says, extra jumbo cherries is probably not traditional either. Jumbo. I was like, what's a jumbo cherry? Yeah, and Christmas says, going with the Quilt Killer movie. Chris, still back at the horror movie. That's cool. Is anyone familiar with the author Barbara Graham? She writes murder mysteries that involve quilts. Oh, wait, yes. Did she write Murder at the Quilt Show, Chris? If she did, and you know who that is, you get the nerd apple for sure. Susan Michael says, I've made a few quilts based in opposition to what some people say about other people's quilts. Look at the black fabrics that don't match. Oh no, you can see the seam lines. That kind of talk just makes me so sad. 1000%. I'm totally with you. Wool and Pearl says the scale makes it more modernish. Mm-hmm. The Threadist says it seems out of place to me, but I've never been to QuiltCon and I'm not a modern quilter. 1000%. It's totally valid. Jill says, while the basket is a traditional block, there's really nothing about this quilt that screams traditional to me. Love it. Good. There's no gray fabric. Yeah, exactly. It can't be modern because there's no gray in it, right? Chris Mess, the murder quilt. The murder quilt. That's really intense. We need to get this woman on the script because, yeah. There needs to be a horror show, a horror movie based on quilts. I mean, quilt makers. It's terrifying. Susan says it's so pop art culture. I love it. So wait, hold on. Myra says, I don't think modern or MQG when I see this quilt. But then again, I've only been a member of the MQG for a little over a year. What do I know? What do I know? Because I don't even know if I'm still a member. I'm a very bad guild member. So PNW Ellen says, this quilt did not strike me as out of place. I thought modern traditionalism, which is the category I think it was entered in. Purple and red combo, Red Hat Society. Interesting dye. What the hell is traditional anyway? Indeed. So, okay, so here's just a couple other quilts that Frieda has made because she's an extremely talented person, and I thought we would look at it, and then, that's the show. Hang on. So she says, quote, this is her artist statement, and she's got some really interesting pictures of her process here. So I pulled these from her website, and I think a couple other quilts like from her Facebook. So I've got those to show you. Artist statement, quote, from Frieda Anderson. I made my first quilt when I was in high school. I have always made things. This is the quote. And I love the process of creating. In college, I majored in art history and minored in ceramics. But I returned to fiber because it was more satisfying. I can't remember when I didn't sew. For years, my focus was designing and making clothing. How cool is that? Oh, and by the way, so this, she teaches classes, and I have a picture of one of her classes. This particular, there's photos from her classes. So just so you know, you may be looking at student work, but it's her design, and I pulled just some things that tell us the story of Frieda, okay? I can't remember when I didn't sew. For years, my focus was designing and making clothing. All that changed in 1992. Oh, I just love this. When, I'm pretty sure this is hers, when I was in fashion design and realized that all I wanted to do was make quilts. I've been designing and making original art quilts ever since. Myra, I agree with your comment. I love the trees too. Oops, sorry. Wow. I find each step, by the way, you know who else said that? You know who else was designing fashion and then switched to quilts was Margaret Wood. She was like, quilts are way more fun than dresses. I find each step of quilt making from the beginning to end a real challenge. It's hard to say what part I like best. These colors are killing me, you guys. They're so amazing. I love the pure creativity involved in conceiving and designing a new quilt. I love to piece, and I love to fuse. I have found that by fusing smaller pieces, I can work out design issues. This is called Duluth trees, this quilt. Then I like to make a bigger, bolder statement and piece the same quilt in a large format. Most of my work is machine quilted and nature inspired. Rox says, I love her bright and saturated color palette. That part could be considered modern. Ooh, yes. Pretty much everything else looked traditional to me as to the definition of modern defined by MQG. Totes. Yep. Di says, how extraordinary the art route, not accounting to afford the fabric. Yeah, exactly. Goals. Small town roots. Hashtag goals. And then, look at, oh, that's lovely. So, oh, you know what? I think the other thing too, and I mentioned this before. Let me just pop over here. I think it's borders. borders, right? Frame quilts. And I mentioned this maybe last time because I saw a few other quilts that had hardcore frames on them. I'll find them in the live stream. But I mean, very few. I said this in the tour, the Latifa Safir tour, through the special exhibits last week. QuiltCon was just last week. The Quilt Nerd Hangout was this time last week. That's what was going on 1 week ago. So, yeah, there are very few borders on modern quilts. And so when you see one, I think that's what it is. I think that's like kind of what, I mean, for now, but throws some people off, right? But I mean, maybe that's just, it's all happening now. More borders are coming. I don't know. She says, back to Frieda's artist statement, I discovered hand dyeing fabric 30 years ago. And now I work almost exclusively with my own hand-dyed cottons and silks. I love the dye process, and I particularly enjoy seeing the colors emerge from the wet fabric. Yeah, cool. Frieda, she's a Bernina ambassador, working on the Bernina 770Q domestic home sewing machine and a Q20 sit-down machine. A week ago yesterday, that's right. Yeah, Little Bird Stitch. These type of quilts used to be called contemporary before the MQG started. It's true, man. It's all a big crack up. That's what it is. It's a crack up. Oh, okay, so this is great. So this is the last quilt I have, I think, of hers. Well, yeah, okay. No, it's not. But these process shots are really cool. I'm pretty sure these were from her Facebook. Okay. I have a quote here. She says, I've never felt comfortable with the word path as a description of a way of life. It's a land word. Oh, this is great. It's a land word, dry and earthy. Whereas the only way I make any movement, in life, look at that, is by allowing myself to drift, to sail, unknowing, with a spirit of adventure, ready to adapt to the culture at hand. So absorbed in the play of the moment that I don't realize when the rope on the skiff has slipped loose. Unquote. And she ends her artist statement with a quote from Thomas More, from The Re-Enchantment of Everyday Life. And that quote is this: I find a deep moral sensitivity in being loyal to one's deepest enchantment. It's a way of love rather than principle, and it's fluid rather than firm. I like Frieda. Yeah? I like it. Yeah, I like Frieda. I like that she ends her artist statement with something like that. It's very, very nice. Yeah, the quilting on this pink tree one is pretty great, isn't it? And these little, so this is called The World is on Fire Triptych Trees, number 3. So hang on now. So there's so this is a process shot for This World is on Fire Triptych Trees number 3. It seems as though, so here's this. Yeah. So this is this Triptych Trees number 3 made in 2020. And I feel like Susan R. Michael is going to be into this. And then the quilting is great. And then there's this, but there's another tree. This is called This World is on Fire 2020. So this is a detail shot of that. So she's done a few of these different tree motifs, right? I mean, and look at the quilting on this one. I mean, she's obviously, she won Best Machine Quilting at QuiltCon this year. Pretty amazing. And yeah, much of the forest was on fire in 2020. I mean, I wonder, like, does she live in California? I'm not sure. Not that she has to, but 2020, the forest fires in the Northwest and in California were so terrible. That's really good. That's really, really cool. That's really cool. The hand-dyed stuff, you guys, like, wow, look at that. Australia too, that's right. Thank you, Dye. It's really true. Look at that. I mean, the way the hand dye, I mean, the way the trees go from green pink to purple. I mean, incredible. Jade Ansura, technically contemporary means of the time. Op art was contemporary. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. Yeah, in Padma, forest fires every year. The drought is really bad. Who told me you got some rain, but it's the water tables or something are really low. You know, Jade Ansura. Hey, Liz D. Yeah, thank you. This quilt, 1,000%. You know, the modern quilt as a term, modern, I've heard, you know, for years, you know, it's kind of wrong. I mean, wrong, whatever. But it's based right on this idea of the mid-century modern kind of aesthetic, as far as I can tell. But they're really contemporary quilts, you know. They're contemporary because they're of the time now. But contemporary was kind of taken, you know. I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of a problem because what are you going to call the next wave, you know? So this is a picture from classes that she teaches. Look at this. I mean, how cool is that? And excuse me, I don't know if that's the quilt that she was teaching or what. You know, I pull things for you. We learn together. I think we have a sense of Frieda Anderson now, and I think she's pretty cool. So you can take classes from her. If you have a guild, you should invite her to come teach. You know? How fun is that? It's so fun. So there's 2 more quilts. There's this one, which I think is very cool. Ticky Tacky Houses. She made it in 1997. Yeah, I mean, how do you define things? Woolen Pearl says, I think most contemporary quilts should be paired with art quilts because they're not all utilitarian in the same way that modern quilts were originally supposed to be. You know what? That reminds me. I keep meaning to pull this down. Now, I don't have permission to say who this is, so I'm not gonna credit it to a person. But a friend of mine wrote to me. Wrote to me and said something pretty amazing about the modern quilts. Hang on. Hang on now. Hold on. Because this person saw. Oh no, but I have to find it. Oh, I know where to find it. Sorry, he has a quote. He knows quilts. He really knows them, and he said something about the show. And how I'm looking in my email. I mean, that's folly. But I'll find it. And eventually. But he said basically like he saw the quilts at QuiltCon, and it's over. Like it's done. Like this is abstract art. You know. He's like it's just the quilts will never go back. You know, we're not gonna go back to what it was before because this is abstract art now. No one can say that quilts aren't art, and you know this is just the way it is. Sorry. There's no modern quilting, Myra says, without traditional quilting. So there, chapeau, respect. Yeah, absolutely. Susan says, I think we can let people self-identify as makers. 1,000%. I agree. Whoop, sorry. People can categorize themselves or not. Usually it's up to everybody else to categorize things. I'll find the quote from my friend and read it to you next time. But you know, that's the show, y'all. I mean, I think that looking at Clementine Hunter and then talking about, hang on, and then talking about some modern quilts that are breaking the mold is a pretty fun time to spend a few hours, you know, on a Saturday night. Next week, you know, I was thinking about Prairie Susie. It's my pleasure. You know, so next week I said that I was gonna, you know, mess with the schedule a little bit. Look at this quilting, by the way. Hang on. Wait, just. We're not done yet. We're not done. Look at that. Look at those feathers. So, this 11 p.m. start time. Aside from the fact that my UK friends are like, oh God. Eric and I are set to go back to the States April 1st. So like 1 month. So while I'm here, I gotta tell you, I mean, the other night when I did my show on Thursday at 10 p.m., it was not good for me. I mean, I give all to you, and I want to, you know, because like, what else am I doing in this life, you know? Like, I want to give. But you know, it was weird. I was anxious all day because I was like, oh, I have to stay up late, and like, I need to take a nap, but I'm not tired. So while I'm here for the month of March, you know, they're going to be midday shows, y'all, because I'm going to go on at 5 p.m. my time, which is 11 a.m. You're welcome, Miss Elaney. Yeah, I mean, thanks, P&W, Ellen. I'm so glad you're here. So, the poll. Let's see. What is the poll doing? This is a good question. Right now, I got to get that poll looking better. We'll continue the poll. Right now, Story Quilts is winning. And ethical quilting, quilts and ethics, the ethics of quilting in the 21st century, is second place. The third revival, are we in a third quilting revival, is in third place. And Men in Quilting is in last place, which I'm kind of okay with. I mean, that could be kind of bananas. You know, Raffle, I got to respect my own mental health. So while I'm here, 5 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to set the schedule. Saturdays are still going to be at 10 p.m. I've been doing that. I mean, I think, anyway. But if I'm no good at the show, y'all, everybody suffers. If I'm just like dragging and feeling sad, and because the thing is, once I leave you, oh, good, Myra's been cleaning. Oh, I love it. The thing is that after I get done with the show, I'm kind of keyed up. I mean, I can't just go to bed. So it's 1:08 in the morning. And then when I'm finished, I mean, like, I have to, like, watch TV, and, like, Eric's awake because he's a night owl, so that's good. But, like, I don't know. He has a Nintendo Switch, so sometimes I play Tetris, but, like, what's happening, you know? And I like to get up early. So if I go to bed at 3 a.m., then I'm sleeping till 10. Everything's... So anyway, but I wanted to let you know, I told you I'd be messing with the schedule a little bit. So for the month of March, it's a midday show, y'all. If you're in the States, and if you're in the UK, it's happy hour. That's what I'm saying. So thank you for that. Sandy Tries took a class from Frieda Anderson. That's amazing. Nose to Quilts. I did finish my COVID quilt, and it's in Chicago. So when I get home to Chicago, I'll show you. It's Pen Burrito. It's so good. Yes, I will be nice to them. They're important. Oh, yeah, and Word and Bird Nerd says our new friend from South Africa is just 2 hours ahead of us in the UK. We do have a new friend from South Africa, Tiki. She's amazing. So, y'all, it's a pleasure. And I enjoyed the show tonight, too. I love being with you guys, and it's good to be back. So take care, and I'll see you soon. And be safe out there. And New Elizabeth, you love a midday show? Me too. And Sunday Social. The Sunday Social. I hadn't thought about it in a while. You know what? It's my only note for tonight. Sunday. Hang on. Look at this. Sunday. The first pen I reached for was a Sharpie. It's on there. Okay, cool. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon. Okay, bye. Bye, okay, proud. Oh, man, I appreciate you, too. And how's the way to say goodbye in Oklahoma? It's like howdy and probably just bye. Okay, I should just go. Okay, bye.